highly contested 2025 budget. What can you say about that, sir?
It's the biggest pork barrel in that I see now.
24 years of experience in the Senate, highly contested 2025 budget. What can you say about that, sir?
It's the biggest pork barrel in that I see now. I handled 24 national budgets, sometimes as a Senate President, other times as Chairman of the Committee on Finance. But this is my own review indicates that about 731.4 billion. I repeat that, 731.4 billion in the 2024 and 2025 budgets are embedded as pork barrel in the two budget years. So, as you said at the start of this program, this year is an election year. That is why I have proposed to the DBM that we mark these increases in the national expenditure program sponsored by our good friends in Congress to be marked for later release. This is not new. This is a practice done. In the past, it was done to harass and to prejudice opposition members like me.
Yes.
But basically, what I am suggesting is, in order to make sure that these funds are not used for political campaigns, for political purposes, that all of these amendments be marked FLR, for later release. Because anyway, under our election laws, you cannot commence a new project 45 days before the election.
Omnibus.
And so this is sometime in March. By March, you cannot release any of the budget to launch new programs.
Yes.
There is every reason, therefore, to mark them as for late release items.
So hindi pa sapat itong Omnibus Election Code, sir, yung 45 days. It's not enough.
Well, I can bet you they will antedate all the releases to before the 45-day ban.
Help us understand, sir. Pag sinabing pork barrel, ano po bang ibig sabihin ito?
Ang ibig sabihin ng pork barrel ay yung mga pinasok na mga appropriation na hindi po kasama sa budget na sinusumiti ng Pangulo sa Kongreso. Sa ating sistema, ang Pangulo nagsusumiti ng budget sa Kongreso every start of at about last week of July at para sa susunod na taon. At ito'y pinag-uusapan, 6 na buwan na debate at yung nakalagay doon kung ano yung dapat i-appropriate at kung saan proyekto. Ngayon, ano po ang pork barrel? Ang ginagawa lang ay dinadagdagan po ng mga members of Congress yun pong expenditure program. Let me emphasize, it is not necessarily bad because there are certain needs really for which can be neglected in the course of the submission of the budget. But then it has been abused, and the insertions or amendments are not necessarily related to the economic program of government. But more importantly, in today's practice, the implementation of the pork barrel is highly questionable. There are collusions between those who provide for this funding for this project. There are problems of the contractors colluding with each other so that you don't get the best price. But maybe I should. Why is it called pork barrel? It is of American origin. In the start of the democracy in America, the legislators would bring pork to their constituents in a barrel.
Okay.
And that is why it is called pork barrel.
It's like yung binabanggit nyo, it's like a web of corruption na nakikita natin in the implementation of the pork
In the
barrel.
implementation, yes, I would concur with your description. There is a web of corruption.
All right. So now, sir, the 2025 elections, 2025 budget, I mean, the issue of insertions during the bicameral committee, conference committee, doon po nagkaroon ng marami no? And highly contested, even their fellow senators, fellow lawmakers, kasi it did not undergo the scrutiny of their fellow lawmakers. What can you say about that, sir?
That's true. But the insertions are not only done during the bicameral conference proceedings. In the course of the budget debates, there are insertions made so that there is a version of the House, there is a version of the Senate, and precisely the bicameral conference committee would try to reconcile these differences. But in the process, nadadagdagan at kaya gets bloated, so that it is our friends in Congress have found a new way of bloating the budget. They move funds, they remove activities from the budget, from the portion of part of the budget which are covered and supported by funds. They remove that, placed it in the unprogrammed funds where the funding is not certain.
All right. So, mas madali, sir.
Mas madali. Kaya walang check. So, ang aking sinasabi, kung pwede sana, i-release sa publiko, and this is consistent with transparency, release to the public what are the insertions. In other words, how did this, where did this come from? Just release to the public by region, so that the people in the region will know that these are projects which are not included in the national expenditure program originally crafted by the cabinet, and is a insertion or amendment by a member of Congress. Let me emphasize, it is not necessarily true that because it is pork barrel or insertion or amendment, it is bad. No, I am not saying that.
Okay.
It is, what becomes controversial is in the implementation of the so-called insertions or amendments or additions to the budget.
It's like they're skirting around the procedures or the law, sir, no? Para lang makapagpasok sila ng mas maraming.
No, they're not skirting anything. It's just that, remember that under our system, the Congress has the power of disbursement, of power over the purse, as they would say. And therefore, it is Congress by law and by constitution who has the power to appropriate. But the power to execute, and therefore the power to release the funds appropriated belongs to the President. And therefore, he can exercise that power as done in the last administration, when they mark certain items FLR, for later release.
All right. Since you're talking about the for later release, sir, na po, meron kasing sinasabi yung DBM na FISARO, no? Ang sinasabi po niya, it's for special issuance of special allotment release order, wherein they are the implementing agencies need to comply with certain requirements bago nila i-release yung pondo. What can you say about that, sir?
Tama yan. There is that provision in the budget message, in the veto message. But I challenge them. Have they ever gone through the exercise of checking whether, in fact, this is happening? In other words, the rule is there. Is it implemented properly? And my answer is no, because the cabinet members would I don't want to use it, but natatakot sila sa Kongreso eh. So, pag sinabing i-release mo yan, di i-release yan ngayon. But for this year, pagkakataon dahilan sa mayroong halalan at nasa ating election code, hindi pwede magkaroon ng bagong programa o proyekto 45 days before the election. And that should fall around first week of March. Now, so what I'm saying is, make it known to the public what are these insertions and mark them all as for later release, so that you don't violate the law by implementing it during the 45 days ban before the election.
Sir, some critics are saying that this 2025 budget is really an election budget. Do you agree?
That's always the case. That's always the case. The budget that is passed during the election year is always called an election budget. And that is why I have proposed that all those budgets which are, all the items which were inserted and not part of the original National Expenditure Program should be marked for later release and should be made public. And therefore you can minimize the electioneering practice. It will happen, but at least when you do this, may takot na baka mahuli.
But hindi naman kaya, sir, makaka-apekto sa ekonomiya natin if may slowdown sa paggastos yung gobyerno?
Maniwala ka sa akin, the government bureaucracy is the most inefficient. And number two, it's just a matter of 45 days. We will not collapse as a country, the economy will not collapse if we postpone new projects for 45 days as provided under the law, or even earlier when we mark, for the sake of transparency, these items as for later release. And also that will comply with the rule of transparency.
All right.